must understand investments. Most believers know nothing about investments. A few know about business, but most people do not know investments. There is only one way money multiplies: investments. Money does not multiply by doing business. It comes by doing business. The only way, not one of the ways, that money multiplies is by investment. And there are 5 levels of investment. Learning about finances is like learning about a car. You don't need to know every part and the way everything works to be able to drive. Are we together? Yes. Now there are those who are called mechanics or mechanical engineers or automobile engineers. They have that burden of learning everything, learning the dynamics. But for one who just wants to drive well and use the car to get to a destination, you save yourself the burden. It is always an advantage if you know the parts, but then there are just a few things you need to know. And if I am to summarize finances with respect to someone who just wants to prosper God's way and then to have enough resources to serve the purposes of God, allow me, I may break it down into just 5 areas where you really need to focus on. Number 1 would be your growth and transformation. 1. That's the first thing you need to look at, your growth. You need to learn about the way finances work in the kingdom and then grow yourself spiritually. Anything in the kingdom starts with God as its epicenter, and that includes finances. So just because you are discussing the subject of finance does not mean you remove God or smuggle him somewhere. The equation remains the same. In the beginning, God. Once you compromise and you tamper with that formula and that sequence, there will be a side effect. So if I'm to help guide someone from point A to point B financially, my first talk with you will be to grow your spiritual life, because it's from the abundance of your spirit man that you are able to prosper God's way. Recall I told you it is possible to prosper financially not loving God, not knowing God, not respecting him, but there are other components that will be missing in your life. The peace that only he can bring, the joy that only he can bring, rest around about. Are we together? There was a man in the Bible called a rich fool. So that man was a fool for a reason. And it is godliness that take away the foolishness part while leaving the rich part. Are we together? Only a fool will say in his heart there's no God. So for that gentleman, focus, number 1, on the area of your spiritual growth and transformation. We agreed last week that poverty is a spirit, is a mindset, and then there are various activities. You can change jobs, you can change location, but if carrying the same faulty thinking and under the influence of the same spirit, your outcomes will be the same. Are we learning? The second area to focus on will be to understand value. You must, or giving, let me say giving. You must understand giving. You want to prosper God's way? It's impossible to prosper God's way, in fact, any way, without understanding giving. Giving is a pivotal subject as far as becoming blessed, wealthy, and experiencing abundance in the kingdom. Giving in all its ramifications. Number 3, you must focus on value, contribution, and productivity. If you're writing, start that statement. This is, it's not even my discussion, but I just felt stirred in my heart to respond to that gentleman. I'm showing you the areas to focus on. Value, contribution, and productivity. Value is a measure of your ability to provide solutions, to meet needs, and to solve problems. I'll say that again. A measure of your capacity to provide solutions, to meet needs, and to solve problems. And then productivity talks of refining your value and turning it into products and services. Are we together? Serving it with excellence to a targeted consumer base. We've observed time and again in this place that that usually is the missing link. When preachers preach on kingdom economics or finances, they sometimes keep away or do not emphasize enough the need to be valuable, the need to be a contributor, and the need to be productive. In addition to knowing and learning God, in addition to giving, it's important for you to know that you are dealing with men. There is a dimension of finances that is a product of transactions. Not every part of finances is transactional, but there's a major part of it that has to do with selling value or dispensing value. Are we together? So to the degree to which you are valuable, you are a contributor of it, and then you are productive. Many are valuable, but they are not productive, meaning they have skills, they have things to do, but they've not been able to package their value into products and services. And some have, but they are lazy. They've not been able to find a targeted consumer base, and there are skills responsible for all of these things. Make reference to all my previous teachings on finances, as many as you can find. Hallelujah. And then when you solve the issue of value, the next thing you have to look at, that's number 4. Am I right on that? So number 1, growth and transformation. Number 2, you're looking at giving, studying giving. Number 3, value, contribution, and productivity. Number 4, you must study relationships. You cannot prosper financially in life and even in the kingdom if you do not understand relationships. It's called favor with men. Luke 2:52. And Jesus increased in wisdom, he increased in stature, he increased in favor with God and with men. You can have favor with God, but if you lack favor with men, many things will not happen in your life. Finances is one of them. Hallelujah. Relationships as such, if I am to draw a pie chart representing the emphasis, I would give a major part of that distribution to relationships, because relationship is an accelerator. Are we together? Relationship is an accelerator. I can sell a drink for $1 or sell a drink for whatever that amount is, 200 naira, say for instance, and I will need 1,000 people to get to $1,000. But with one relationship, I can receive the equivalence of that reward for 1 year because of the benevolence of someone. Relationship is an accelerator, sometimes an unfair accelerator. Hallelujah. And I've taught you that there are principles for commanding favor through relationships. One of it is the practice of honor. One of it is to be a mutual contributor to that relationship. Ensure your relationship is not one-sided. And where you cannot bring value, bring gratitude. Don't forget, every time you cannot contribute to another who is in the relationship, lavish it with gratitude. Gratitude is an equalizer. It will compensate for any value you have received. Are we together? Gratitude makes any relationship fair. If you cannot bring value, bring gratitude. Hallelujah. And then finally, you must understand the law of increase. Increase has to do with 2 dimensions. Number 1, financial management systems, and number 2, investments. In fact, 3 areas: financial management systems, that's where you talk of savings, you talk of planning, you talk of how to distribute and allocate resources according to your needs. Then you must understand investments. We still have other financial teachings coming in the course of the year, and I hope in one of them I would have the liberty to teach you a bit about investments. Most believers know nothing about investments. Your soul is demanded of you. Hallelujah. We hardly have 3rd or 4th generation wealth in Africa. There are not more than maybe 4 or 5 families at all that I'm aware of who have been able to pass wealth to the 3rd and 4th generation, because most people stop at the realm of business. They only understand how to do business and to profit. Not many understand investments, and not many understand how to perpetuate wealth. I'm trusting that our generation will be able to change that narrative. Are we together? And there's a theology, or not a theology, there is a science to the depletion of wealth. Usually the first generation are those who labor, who plow the land. Father uneducated but hardworking, mother uneducated but hardworking, and in their generation they become wealthy. Then they pass it to the next generation, who become managers and consolidators. So they inherit millions already, and they are taught the principles to manage it. And that second generation usually will give birth to nonchalant children who don't know anything. You see why it declines? So it plateaus by the second generation, and the third generation are children who were born into billions. They're not interested in the business. They have a Rolls Royce as a birthday for 1 year old. You know, they have all kinds of things, and the children don't understand, and if not managed under their watch, they become prodigal children who bring those wealth back to zero. Then the fourth generation will have to start again, hand it over to their children, and then the children after them. Usually it's grandchildren that cause the problem. Grandchildren are the ones, because the children that come directly from the parents usually are witnesses. Even though they are small, they are witnesses of the sweat and the pain of the parents. But by the time grandchildren arise, there's no pain again. The pain factor is gone. They meet splendor, they meet honor, they meet every kind of thing. And if you don't find a way of taming to discipline them, they will cry for sweeping the room and call it punishment. So that kind of mindset already degenerates the children until they punish the fourth generation. Your children's children will not be like that. And if you happen to be a beneficiary of third generation wealth, learn this, what I've taught you. Even if the people around you are careless, remember that you met blessings. Don't leave curses to your children.